Now this is a Chevrolet Cruze of the year 2011, right? The problem with this car is that it has got a DPF problem, right? So it will show a DPF warning light inside the instrument cluster. It's showing a DPF light and a check engine light inside the instrument cluster, and it's really weak on power, right? So at the moment the faults are cleared, but this is just going to be temporary. If you just drive it a few kilometers, maybe up to about 50 kilometers, the lights will come back on, and then it starts to misbehave. But for now, it's actually not revving beyond. It's not exactly revving beyond as it should, right? And especially as you are driving, you can actually feel that it is really weak, right? So what we're going to be doing on this Chevrolet Cruze is we're going to be converting it to non-DPF. That's what we're going to be doing on this Chevrolet Cruze. Already it's puffing so much smoke at the back, right? It's puffing smoke right at the back. From time to time, as the customer drives, he's seeing some white smoke coming from the back. So that's what we're going to be resolving on this Chevrolet Cruze. And then we take it for a drive, and then we see how it is performing. You can actually hear the turbo. The turbo is making a funny sound also, because the DPF is so clogged to a point that they are supposed to buy a brand new DPF. But then again, we said they already know that since we did another vehicle for them before, we did a Ford Ranger, 2014 Ford Ranger for them before, so they know that buying a DPF is probably wasting money. It's actually wasting money. So doing a conversion to non-DPF is definitely going to be the best solution to deal with these DPF issues. Like I said, these DPF are pretty much failing due to the quality of fuel that we are using, especially here in Africa. The quality is not so good. So if you buy a brand new DPF on this car, the problem that you're going to have is, in a short space of time, you're going to buy another DPF, and this is not something that you want to buy every now and again. Because they are pretty much expensive. I haven't pretty much searched how much the DPF for this car costs, but I know it's much expensive. You are looking at anything north of $600-700 US dollars. That's in any case, doing a conversion to non-DPF, you find out that it will be by far cheaper. That's one. Second of all, in terms of, this is a lifetime solution, so your engine will breathe better, your engine will even perform better. So the upsides are pretty much, guaranteed when you do a conversion to non-DPF. So this is what we're going to be doing on this Chevrolet Cruze. After I am done with the Cruze, I am going to take it on a road test, take it on a drive, and show you just how the vehicle is performing. For now, I can tell you that it is sluggish. In fact, I'm actually afraid of driving it in this condition, because I'm afraid of actually blowing up the turbo. I know that DPF is so much clogged, and there are going to be really some issues there if I drive it. And so I'm not going to drive it to show you how it is performing, obviously, because I'm trying to protect the turbo of this car. So I hope you enjoy the video as I'm working on the vehicle, and if you've got yours too with the same problem, contact us. We should be able to help you. So let's just say you Googled, and it's the first time that you're joining me, and you've no idea what a diesel particle filter is and what it is doing inside your vehicle. Let me start by explaining what it is, right? So a diesel particle filter is a system which limits the amount of emission that your diesel car is putting into the atmosphere, right? It's actually located onto your exhaust, right? And it's believed that these diesel vehicles are polluting the environment to a point that the amount of emission that they are producing must be limited. So the manufacturers were forced to come up with these diesel particle filters, and you'd see that they are being installed on your 2005 going up
diesel vehicles, right? Particularly those intended for the markets like your Australian market, your Japanese market, your European and your American market, right? Those that is where you're going to find mostly those vehicles fitted with a DPF system, right? So now, just because the DPF system is a system that is meant to exist on your vehicle for life, it's not a thing that you replace here and then. You actually notice that by searching you find it's pretty much expensive. It's not something that you're supposed to replace, right? It is something that is supposed to work for the rest of the lifetime of the vehicle, right? Just like your engine, when the engine dies, that's when the car is really gone, right? So it's more or less the same the way that a diesel particle filter works. It's supposed to last the lifetime of the vehicle, but it happens somewhere along ownership of the vehicle that the diesel particle filter begins to fail, right? And some of the reasons why that diesel particle filter fails are one of three reasons, right? Or a combination of them, right? So the first one is has to do with your driving habit, right? So mostly vehicles with diesel particle filters are not supposed to be they're not intended for short drives, right? They're supposed to be used on long drives so that you give the exhaust enough time to actually do its job, to cook itself and regulate itself as the soot begins to accumulate inside the exhaust. So if you typically use a vehicle with a DPF for short journeys, let's say your office is like 10 kilometers away or 6 kilometers away from your house, definitely you're going to have a DPF problem because you are not giving that vehicle enough time to do its process of self-cleaning. You're not giving that vehicle enough time, right? So that's reason number one. Number two, the other reason why these diesel particle filters fail is due to an issue of quality of fuel, right? So you'd find out that if you're using horrible quality of fuel, obviously there's going to be contaminants in that fuel. Those contaminants are going to be blown by the engine into the exhaust, and they're just going to stick onto the DPF. And when that happens, you've got a situation where that DPF starts to clog, right? And this usually happens in third world countries, like where we are from, right? Our quality of fuel sometimes is not the best quality. It's not the best quality compared to the kind of fuel that you're seeing in your European countries or the countries that I mentioned earlier, right? Where they've manufactured these vehicles intended for those markets, right? The quality mostly in those countries is going to be better than what we have in third world countries, right? So that is an issue, right? The issue of fuel quality, right? Now, the other issue that causes these DPFs to fail is when your air-to-fuel ratio mixtures begin to fail. And these air-to-fuel ratios begin to fail mostly because, let's say, maybe your turbo is getting weaker, or maybe you've got an EGR problem, or maybe just your injectors are starting to have an issue. So what that means is that you've got a situation where your air is less and your fuel is a little bit more, right? So black soot is naturally being created, but that black soot is going to clog up the exhaust far much faster than how the DPF can actually resolve that matter, right? So at the end of the day, you end up being brought to a situation where your DPF really clogs and starts to have the same issues as we are having in this Chevrolet Captiva, right? Chevrolet Cruze, right? So depending on where you're coming, where exactly you are, obviously if you're in your first world countries, where the countries like your Japan, Europe, America, obviously when you're having a DPF problem, the first thing, in fact, I think we've done a video about it where we talked about why you shouldn't quickly rush to go and buy DPF. We talked about some of the issues that you can try to really look at before you consider going the replacement route, right? Now the replacement route is probably doesn't make sense for someone in a third world country because like ourselves, because we do not have emission laws, right? We do not have emission laws, and the same vehicles that we are manufacturing, the same Chevy Cruze that we are manufacturing, like for example in South Africa, comes without a diesel particle filter, right? So at the end of the day, going on, and also just the fact that we do not have the best quality of fuel, going on to buy a diesel particle filter, we will wind up back with having DPF problems, right? So the first things, so to answer you to say what route you should take depends mostly with where you are from. So if you are from those first world countries, you want to start off all by fixing your air to fuel issues, air to fuel ratio issues, and your driving habits before you go on and replace your habits, before you go on and replace your DPF, right? But in a third world country, it doesn't matter whether you change your driving habits. It doesn't matter whether you fix your air to fuel. You are still going to have a DPF problem because the fuel quad that we are using is generally of less quality than what is being sold in your first world countries like your Japan, America and Europe and so forth, right? So the solution that we're going to be implementing on this Chevrolet Cruze is going to be a conversion to non-DPF, right? Remember what I said, that we're already manufacturing vehicles like this without a DPF system. However, if you've got a Chevy Cruze that has got a DPF system, you have chances are that you have bought it from overseas. It has come from Australia, it has come from Europe, it has come from America, right? It's not necessarily it hasn't been manufactured in a third world country where there is no that DPF system. So how we then solve these vehicles is these problems is we solve by converting that vehicle to non-DPF, just like the ones that we are manufacturing already, right? So we're going to deal with an exhaust, that's number one, and then we're going to go to the electronic side of the vehicle and do a conversion as well to support the modification that would have been done on the exhaust. So having done that, all those Christmas tree lights are just going to disappear. When they disappear, all the power, because when it is showing those lights, it is in limp mode. It is not giving you 100% of the power because it's saying, look, my friend, go and fix me or else I'm not going to perform, right? So immediately when we've finished fixing, you're going to see the power is going to restore and it's going to feel amazing. That's how it is going to perform. And the upside of doing this conversion to non-DPF is that you'd find out that generally the power will improve. Against a similar vehicle that has got a DPF, the power is going to be better. That's number one. Number two, in terms of fuel consumption, you're also going to see an improvement in fuel consumption. Now, the reason why you're going to see an improvement in fuel consumption is because vehicles that have got DPF systems are designed in such a way that, remember I talked about a self-cleaning process that they undergo when they've got a DPF system, right? So that self-cleaning process is achieved by over-fueling, right? Sometimes that vehicle deliberately increases its fuel consumption so as to raise the exhaust temperatures, right? When the exhaust temperatures have been raised, it's going to cook the soot that is trapped in the DPF, and that is how it cleans itself, right? So just because when we've converted to non-DPF, it is no longer doing that process of self-cleaning, what it means is that you're also going to see an improvement in terms of fuel consumption. So that is our solution here, and having implemented that solution on a Chevy Cruze, like I said, there's going to be an improvement, right? So in the next video, right, I'm gonna show you a video of us testing the vehicle, driving the vehicle, and the vehicle also, the owner also enjoying his vehicle after we had sorted that DPF problem. So if you've got the same problem on this Chevy Cruze, do not hesitate to contact us. We should be able to help you, and our solution is lifetime and with a guarantee.
So I finished working the Chevrolet Cruze. Now I'm taking it for a road test. I just need to get some fuel so that I put it on so that we can drive a full 60 kilometers just to do a proper endurance test. So the issue was, it was showing a DPF light in there and a check engine light, and it had no power. But right now, if I put my foot on the ground, right, I can feel the car really wants to go. It really wants to go. It's by far an improvement from how it was behaving. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do a full 60 kilometer endurance test. Then we invite the customer, then we do a test with him, so that he is fully satisfied with the new performance of the vehicle.
iri kubviswa. Iri kubviswa.
Otherwise, you want to open your All right. You what can I run?
Yeah, same pay for me.
Ah, yeah.
So I check the DPF that's zero.
I think one wakaibvisa ndio wachida kuita vakadisturba pipe anga ari people vakatsenga pipes anga ari ekuma intercooler what.
Alright.
So we had to fix those as well. Because handikunzwa kafa auchakadzwa.
Sanombe Rwanda ananga kufuza.
Famba bona.
Hayi rwa diesel baba. Mai.
Oh. Kona ngana matai chaiyo mtozvitsi.
Azorosiyana. Ukabe yatambura kusumuka.
Yaitambura kusumuka.
Mas bayeto tijeri.
Sasa Wanga kutozoporongera
vakaipiwa ndambobva ndasibotsvaga vanhu vakawanda. Ndangotsvaga munhu wani ndofunga timu yanga ine motikari yacho yandakaita nayo swap. Yangotsvaga tsvaga.
This is a very good car, my friend. Uyu mufana wangu.
Oh,
nice.
Fundisa
basi.
Alright. What do you take generational business?
Yeah. Smoky, I think it is right, but I think it is good pay, right? It's getting less and less. Because there was too much black smoke. Now there's virtual. It's still there. Eh? Hapana kuita Cruze.
Zvinosiyana. Akamulidza akachabuda.
Akachabuda. Inoita kamulidzo kaya ketable kaya ndoka inoita kaya. Ndoka unongonzwa chete, which is a very good sign that your table is working nicely. That's fine. Isingaite motikari ine simba. I was actually shocked by simba rako rakaina. It's too much.
It too
little. Simba racho really shocking for this car. It's too much. I did.
Hapa kunyanga, naenda kunyanga brani yangu.
Alright.
Ndapata fluwa.
I hope I see
Corona.
So there you have it. That is our solution for these Chevrolet Cruze. Not just a Chevy Cruze only. I think a number of brands. You can check our Facebook page. You can check our YouTube. We'll try to document as many as we can. But if you don't see your vehicle listed, that doesn't mean we cannot do it. All you just have to do is to contact us on the numbers which are on the screen. or send us a message directly on Facebook. We should be able to help you. Okay. I hope this then proves and shows to you that your problem is not the end of the world. It's something that can be solved, and we can do it right here in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much for watching.